You're listening to the Dr. Joe Show here with Eli Erlick, talking about nature and how what we learned in kindergarten probably wasn't the full story.
What do you mean, Tom?
Well, I remember, we all went to school, I assume, and in science, when we learned about biology, there's male and female, there's XX and XY, and that's the end of it, right? Well, I mean, the other week we were talking about Punnett squares and how those kind of suck for advanced genetics. Intersex children, and they're born at a same rate as redheads. I just recently learned.
Can you just describe what intersex is? This the same as being a hermaphrodite? Was that
Ooh,
another
is
term
that
for it
is
or
that
no?
an in vogue word still, or
Not
No.
anymore.
nah?
It was until maybe 30 or so years ago. But now intersex is the preferred term, which is actually an older term than transgender is. People have been
Hmm.
using the word for over 100 years.
And
Uh,
so intersex is, Eli, what is intersex?
Configuration of chromosomes and genitalia that might not fit into this XXXY binary. So it doesn't necessarily mean sometimes it's described as ambiguous genitalia, but there's also plenty of intersex conditions that aren't so ambiguous. Like CAH is a very common one affecting, I think, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people. And
What's the acronym CAH? Is that one? I don't want to put you on the spot. All right, we'll just keep going. Right.
I think it's
For me,
congenital.
it's congenital adrenal hyperplasia, but I don't think that's the same. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. Yep, very common condition.
Yeah.
And typically, this is someone who's born with a vulva and has XY chromosomes. It's not that rare. I know plenty of people who have it, and it's often not tested for. So our intersex population is actually quite large, and many people never learn throughout their lifetimes.
And is that something that person hides? Are they
Well, and
ashamed, or are they being shamed or being pushed into this isolation?
Well, there are plenty of reasons people might hide that they're intersex. I mean, same as trans up until the past few years, and even today. There are a lot more of us out there than people give credit for. For things like CAH, there actually wasn't testing for it until they were able to check chromosomes. And so people wouldn't know, they would think there was something wrong with their ovaries. And very often they might not have ovaries at all. Some have undescended testes, others have different configurations of genitalia. And so plenty of intersex conditions weren't even noticed throughout history. It's only until the past few decades, maybe a couple centuries for some conditions, that they were recognized.
And that's why the whole "what is a woman" thing is just so insulting. One of the reasons, obviously, is, well, okay, so what if a cis woman gets a hysterectomy, or you know it gets female genital mutilation as a child, like, or gets a mastectomy? They can't breastfeed kids. Does that make them not a woman?
Exactly. And that's why this rhetoric is really harmful for not just trans people, but also cis women. It devalues nearly half of cisgender women can't have children, counting people, of course, over 50. And so are they no longer women? I don't know. According to Matt Walsh, they might not be. So it's very frustrating to see this rhetoric that's just so blatantly incorrect take off. And I mean, someone who's also in academia too, it's just infuriating that this sort of blatantly wrong misinformation that actually harms so many people is being pandered out publicly and viewed and celebrated by millions of folks.
I tell you, I I was an expert witness in a case of a child who was born with both sets of genitals. And it was a really interesting case because, without going into the details, the child was taken into foster care, And the foster department, the Department of Child and Family Services in this particular state, made a decision for this child to do surgical intervention to give them the gender that they thought the child should have. And it was not the right gender.
It very often
The
isn't.
kid, yeah. And this kid identified not with their anatomical gender that had been sort of imposed upon them. And the case was really looking at when do we develop this idea of our identity? Gender identity has been something that psychology and psychiatry has looked at forever, but with such a distorted, narrow lens that somehow it's got to be intact by a certain age. It's like, and so that's what this case was about. Was the child had a right to have made decisions for themselves. So you don't impose what gender you think this child should have surgically. You just let them grow. So that's why this is a very important issue. It really is about human rights in a very real way, but also, why do we have such a problem with somebody looking different or behaving different? One of the things I like to say is, we're one group. It's called humanity. It's one group, not a bunch of factional groups just because you don't look like somebody else. We all want the same thing. We want to feel valued by somebody else. Think about every person you've ever met in your life. That is the common thread that binds us. That's what makes us one group, because we all want the same thing. And sadly, human beings for millennia have increased their value by decreasing somebody else's. And then we're astonished that other person, that other group, that other country does the same. We don't have to do that anymore. We don't have to do that. Because if we keep doing that, we will destroy ourselves. So anyway, I didn't mean to get all pedantic there, but I can't help it sometimes.
Stretch the canvas, rush with madness. Is it sadness or just a show? Van Gogh, go, 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 go. Van Gogh, go, 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 go.